So, Mott,
Eileen.
English or French? Who do it better?
Wow, that's a great question. Okay.
I'm so excited to have you today. I think you're one of these people that are just a beam of energy and sunshine and smiles. So it's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. I'm
Tell-
very, very happy to be here
How
too.
did it all start? I mean, you like fashion, finance, climate. I mean, take us back to the beginning. What's the origin story? Where did it all start?
Yeah, so I would say everything started in my little town in Dijon. It's a little town in France. You might know it with the mustard or the wines,
that's true.
of course, yeah. So I'm from a father who is like super crazy French, always questioning everything, like every French, of course. And I'm from a mother who is Iranian. So she fled the revolution when she was 18. Wow. And I was really bathed in that, education with very different cultural background, and really at core the values that you can success, but success will take a lot of hard work, a very deep focus, and absolutely nothing will be given to you. Mm. So you need to take everything and everything you want. And I have like many great stories in my family. Like my mother was barely speaking French and she arrived at 18 and she succeeded to have her medical degrees in France, which is like very competitive one. My grandmother, she divorced in Iran. She was like very legal story. And she fled to the US and she became a self-made a woman, and she went through 5 bankruptcy and 5 other success. So I have many examples, but I know what it takes. And I've always learned that when the door is shut, you need to go by the windows. You know,
I love that.
Yeah, this is my grandmother.
It's a beautiful
mantra.
It's such a beautiful saying. You know, we have the same in Lithuanian actually. When the door shuts, the tiny window opens.
Of course.
And there's something about like that resilience, and I think that there's a thesis of like backing people that are sort of our international like expats, and I think have the DNA of that, and I think there's really something about in like the entrepreneurship journey that really resonates when it's the resilience, the persistence, the nothing is given, you've got to go and put yourself out there and take it, and go with
migrant people, when they just leave their country, they do not have any roots, they don't have room in that society, and so they need to make it, and no one is waiting for them. So no one is giving it for them. So they need to fight, and so their children, of course, they educate their children in that way. But like very, very, very high ambition also, because they understood that they can succeed everywhere in the world. And so they want their children to do the same, of course.
Totally. I love that. That's so beautiful. And so then we go and then Green God. I mean, you guys are one of the,
so just from Dijon to Green God.
Exactly. How did we get there?
So that was on my mother's side. On my father's side, it really opened my eyes on the earth, I mean, the nature and the environment surrounding us, and on the fact that on my short life scale, I'm already witnessing that the biodiversity is collapsing, that the climate is changing, and I'm deeply concerned about that. I really felt like I felt so lucky I was born in such a paradise. Like Burgundy is really a paradise. France is a country peace. Nature is wonderful, and I really want to keep that. So I just was really wondering what I could do, and by that time I didn't really figure it out. So I went into the luxury industry. Why? This is like
I was like, well, okay.
The dots will be connected after, you will say. So I'm really passionate about communication, but at the very large sense of the word. I don't know if you read Sapiens.
Oh yeah,
of course. So what is written in that book is that stories are really the glue of our society and of our civilizations, and stories really enable us to be different animals than the other, because like that we can gather and really achieve huge goal with huge group of people. And I always ask myself, like, why people react like that, why they purchase behavior, why do they want that whereas they know it's bad for them, why do we smoke, you know? Why do we vote for Donald Trump, even if it's not good for us? Why do we vote for Brexit, even if we know that there are lies, you know? I'm really, really passionate about this cognitive bias. And I think luxury is an incredible industry because they really master the skill to make everything become desirable.
Totally.
Like a trash bin branded Balenciaga, that's like 3,000 euros. A Louis Vuitton bag that costs literally €3 to produce is sold. Yeah, I'm sorry for you. I know the background. I know, and I feel it's so powerful to know how to make everything desirable, and I learned those skills there, and then I started to think about like, okay, I have those skills, but I don't want to use them to sell more bags. I want to use them to make a difference, you know?
To make the world a better place.
Exactly. Beautiful. And to tackle climate change and the biggest challenge of humankind and all those things, you know?
It's so interesting. There's something really there about the power of storytelling. And I think when a lot of time we spend with founders, right? And you look at some of the, especially at early stage, when all you have is, a group of people that want to change the world and this big vision, right? And that's
and
pretty much
millions,
it.
Yeah.
they want millions for it, exactly. There is something about the power of narratives that can really like put people together and kind of get them behind the vision and, try and achieve something that seems, if you look at statistically, it's like against the odds, right?
It's
but
everything.
Yet people
it's
go and just
religion at a larger scale. It's democracy. It's everything.
Totally.
I decided to try to create something that would have a real impact to tackle climate change. And so I reviewed all the industry like fashion, transportation, food, which all of them has a huge impact, and emits a lot of greenhouse gas. But every time I was looking into an industry, I could find that same Ariane thread, And when you just go back to the origin, you were always finding finance. Money, money rules the world. It was right 2,000 years ago. It was going to be right 2,000 years ahead. And so I decided to create a tool that would enable everyone to decide for which companies, for which project, for which industry their money will work. Because right now in our traditional finance system, your money in your bank accounts works for fossil fuel industries. And this is completely in contradiction with our entire generation that works so hard and on parallel fight against climate change and everything and really has strong values. And on the other hand, they have their money funding literally fossil fuel industries. And so, but money is like not the problem. Money is not the issue. It's really how you use that money. And so we wanted to create a tool that would empower you to take back power on your money and to decide exactly which world it will fund, it will build. And so that's I was born Green Dot. So Green Dot is like a green investment platform with also a layer of payment accounts available in France and Belgium, and one day want to be, of course, the first green investment platform in Europe. It's a good way.
I mean, and your guys are on a good journey because one of the hottest startups, like according to LinkedIn, 2023.
The first hottest in
Love
France.
it.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
That's cool.
Well done.
We're happy about it.
How do you? I know part of your fundraising journey. I'm curious, being a female founder, co-founder, like I'm curious about some of the, we hear some horror stories out there. And of course you've been on that side and you kind of, went and experienced it firsthand. Like anything any anecdotes that stand out from those days back in fundraising?
Oh yeah, I have like very crispy anecdotes. So I started Green Dot, I was 25. So I was a female founder and a young founder. So I didn't know which was worse, And so it was not really with a VC, actually. It was more like with a big potential partner, partnership in finance.
Yeah.
You always need to find. And Okay, I was in a meeting with the guy. The guy is worth more like billions, okay? And we were talking about green finance, the future of finance, how we could plug between the two systems and things like that. At one point, he just stopped talking, look at me in the eyes and say, I really want to put my face in your breast. This is a true story.
What? Wow.
Yeah, not that funny. Yeah, so things
Wow.
like that happen, and you feel like, I could sue you for that now.
Big time.
I mean, of course.
What do you do?
But
What do you say? I mean, how do you...
I react in a very French way. I made a joke. Yeah, and then I left, of course. I'm not really someone who burst, and just put like, oh, did you say to dare that? And dare to say that and leave. I'm more like chill person, So,
Wow.
but of course, this was the end of the partnership.
The beginning and the end.
Yes, exactly. I had like also so many, when you start a meeting and the guy was like, okay, aren't we waiting for your other funders, or do you have like the email of your male funders or things like that? Yeah.
It's crazy to me because we talk about like women emancipation and empowerment, and there are so many initiatives in the industry to try and like change the status quo and make things better. But at the same time, so many of these stories nobody speaks about, right? Because, and then like you look at the data and, I think it's something like over 50% of women in Europe have faced at some point like sexual harassment. It's massive. And then it's like, oh, you're overly sensitive. You're highly emotional. It's like, no, you're not overly sensitive. This is not okay.
I
This
talk
is
about
not
that
okay.
with many other female founders, and once I was talking with one of them, and the girl told me like a crazy story also, and she was with a group of VC, like real investors, and and she was pitching, and she had like a great product, always number one in the App Store in France. It was for education. I mean, really nice one. Always proving a great credibility and legitimacy, and she was raising funds, and the founder and the investor in front of her said like, okay, yes, it's great, but like we have a question. Did your husband invested in your company? And the girl was like, no, but what's the point?
How's that relevant?
Yeah, and the investors, they answered like, okay, for us, it's really not a sign of trust, the fact that your husband didn't invest in your company, so we are not going to invest. I told the girl, like, just make a LinkedIn post, But it was like such an incredible story. Just drop the names,
It's nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, VC is like coming up with stories to like past reasons, but like this is like, okay, just like maybe sometimes like don't say anything. It's like if that's like,
it's huge.
just don't say that. No, that's wow, crazy stuff. I wonder. I mean, and it's interesting, right? Because humor tends to be something that I think we as women actually is like one of our superpowers. I think being able to, laugh things off and try and kind of soften the, the vibe and like make the. Do you ever? I mean, how do you pick yourself up when things get tough and when it's hard to, put a smile on and keep going as if nothing is happening? Like, how do you motivate yourself to get out there?
I look at the big picture. I think something you need to learn very, very early in your founder journey is to be able to de-zoom, and to look at the big picture. You're young, you're healthy, you're loved, you're surrounded by loved ones in a country in peace, This is what really matters. Your companies and your journey and your project are problems you created. Okay, no, but really,
It's true.
yeah, I mean, if there were nothing before you,
Self-inflicted.
and if you stop, there will be nothing after. But like, it's not your life at stakes, and having that position enable you to be less stressed, be less really. I mean, of course, you need to be really into it, but sometimes it will be too counterproductive. You'll be paralyzed by stress. You'll be so down, and you don't need to be like that because you are going to face so many bad moments and bad news. So being able to have the big picture in mind and to remember what is really important in your life and what you already have is really stuff that saved me so many times.
Do you ever get imposter syndrome?
Oh, I like that question. Of course. I have every day the imposter syndrome, but I'm really okay with it, because I think the first thing I discovered when I entered like the adult world, when I entered, I had my first job is like, I understood that everybody was an imposter. Like really,
Everyone's making it. We make it,
like,
hopefully.
I was like, this is it, I started my first work was in a company that was like 200 years old. That was in luxury industries, so like really rich company, wealthy company, and that was directed by one of the most powerful guy in the world. Okay, I won't drop names. But I mean, this company really had it all, and I entered it and I was, wow, this is such a mess. You have no idea. You have no idea things I witnessed on stuff done really last minute. And I was an intern there, and I was like, so many things, like really part of the turnover were just on my shoulders because there were like so many turnovers, and I had like 3 different managers, one burnout, one resignment, one future burnout, and I was like, okay, I had an idea that everything when I was growing and when I will be an adult would be like so structured, and we know where we go, and we have a vision, and this is this step and this step. Bullshit, okay? It's improvisation for everyone.
For life.
So yeah, and I'm like, okay, now I take the flow, and I'm like, okay, improvisation is also a way of life. And it's also very important as a founder to know how to improvise, because sometimes you have like opportunity and chances that you just need to, oh, wow, okay.
Totally.
It's very important. And so I have this imposter syndrome. Of course, I don't feel like the very one person able to create the best things in the world to tackle climate change. But I think there is no one else neither, And you become that person by working and by trying. And also it's a match between time and place and opportunities. And I'm at that right place right now, so I need to seize the opportunity and I need to make the best of it.
And just do it, right?
Exactly.
I think so often we as women, we doubt ourselves. Or we think like, if only, well, I just need a bit extra, and then I just need a bit more preparation, and then I'm going to be ready. I just need my numbers to be a bit better. Right? It's like, just go for it. And it's okay to feel fear. Like everybody feels that, right? Everybody I talk to, if people are honest, everyone doubts themselves. If you're clever, you're going to doubt yourself because you understand that you're not the most clever person in the world, right? And so, but you just go there and you do it anyway. And what's the worst that can happen? What's the absolute worst that can happen?
Exactly.
It won't work out. And so what? You're going to live the next day and going to fight the next day.
You have a roof, you have food, and you have your loved ones. And this is exactly what's the worst. And finally, you understand that, okay, my ego would be destroyed. That's the worst, okay? And you can live without ego. You need to say goodbye to your ego when you're a founder. Anyway, you need to
anyway, exactly. There's no other way.
So, yeah, I think you have to be able to understand that if you do not have a plan, it's okay. If you do not have, you need, of course, a vision and to know approximately where you want to go, but it will be a disaster to have a very detailed plan on the 5 next years, okay? Because you have to be very flexible. And having a plan very detailed on the 5 next years, it's the definition of not being flexible.
There's something about, I always think like it's not the strongest that survive, it's the fittest, the most adapted to the environment, right? And so being able to, especially as a startup founder, it's like, you've got it, like engineered serendipity. People talk about, it's not like you're sitting there waiting for the luck to strike, right? It's like you're out there, you're doing things, you're exposing yourself to different opportunities, but you're flexible enough so that when the new things comes along, which looks much more, potential, higher potential, you can just go for it, right? And I think so many people, like you say, they just sort of, they're not very comfortable with ambiguity. I think maybe it goes back to that. It's like you gotta be okay with having to improvise, right? And that's a place
and it's super exciting.
It's like lose control for a bit and just,
In the storm, it's not the old trees, the old oaks that survive. On the contrary, it's the young grass, It's a famous story in France. So you need to be flexible and to be able to survive in all those storms.
Totally. I want to ask you, as a female founder, running a super exciting business that actually has a beautiful mission to help save the world and the climate and the animals. What's an advice? What tips would you give to other women out there who might be thinking about starting their own thing or taking that leap of faith, putting themselves out there? Like, how do we as women win?
I love that mantra that I always repeat myself is nothing ventured, nothing gained. Okay, so it is really what we just said. Is so important to just do it, to just start the adventure, to be able to put your ego and your fear aside and to pursue what you have deep inside you, in your heart, telling you that I want to do that, One of my biggest fear in life is regret. And this is like a big engine for me to act. It's I'm people say I'm very bold and I dare to do a lot of things. Like really, I dare to do a lot of stupid also things, but a lot of things. This is because I'm always fearing to regret not to do it. So the first advice is just try, Be okay with the fact that it will be hard. Be okay with the fact that no one will make fun of you, because I know one of the biggest fear of new founder, and not only for female founder but also for male founder, is more like when you start, you're nobody, okay? So all your friends, but also fellow students and former, business school friends, they're like, maybe they will make fun of us. Maybe they will make fun of me. And I had that feelings too. I was like, okay, this is like super ambitious project. I'm nobody with nothing. Who am I to dare to do that? And I understood very quickly that people didn't make fun of me. I mean, they didn't even care, Just use that. No one is looking at you, guys. So just go. No,
and even if they did, again, what does it matter? It's
Exactly.
just an opinion of somebody that, it's like, do your own thing and focus on, your own
And they will
strengths.
all come back when you be successful.
That for
Believe
sure.
me.
I have no doubt about that. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I mean, what's next for Maud to finish off? Where are you taking it next? Is it Green God and like scaling it to the fullest? Is there anything on the personal side?
Exactly. Managing hyper growth, recruiting the best team. That's a pretty big challenge. Management, recruitment. And yes, just take over like France, Belgium, and Europe one day.
And the world. The world domination. Wonderful. Thank you so much. This was awesome.